It was supposed to be just a courtesy visit, nothing more. The kind of photo op that filled the schedule of powerful men. Elon Musk arrived at the grand estate quietly, his 5-year-old son by his side, holding something small wrapped in gold paper. Donald Trump stood waiting, hands folded, expression composed. There was a weight to the air, a tension neither political nor personal, but almost spiritual. And then the boy, small and sincere, stepped forward. "Mr. Trump," he said softly, lifting his eyes, "do you remember when someone last gave you a gift, with nothing to get in return?" The room fell still. Trump blinked, caught off guard by the question, not by the voice. It was the kind of childlike voice every adult is used to ignoring, but by the weight of the words. Elon didn't interrupt. He stood back, letting the boy take the moment. Whatever this was, it wasn't planned. The boy reached out and placed the tiny gift in Trump's hand. "It's not from me," he said. "It's from someone who wants you to smile like a little boy again." Trump's hand closed around the gold-wrapped box. For a moment, the former president didn't speak. His mind wandered, back to childhood maybe, back to a version of himself that didn't know the weight of nations, walls, headlines, and loss. Elon finally spoke, gently. "He asked me if we could meet you. He said he had something you needed more than anyone else." Trump looked down at the boy. "Why me?" His voice cracked slightly, barely audible. The boy didn't flinch. "Because you looked sad, and God says we should love people who look sad." There was no agenda, no cameras snapping, no speeches. Just a little boy offering something deeper than a gift, the reminder that he was still human. This wasn't about politics. This wasn't even about Elon Musk, or fame, or power. This was about something that transcended status, something Jesus once taught. Unless you become like little children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. Why do children see what we forget? Why does truth sound so simple when it leaves the mouth of someone so small? And why did that single question, "Do you remember the last time someone gave you something with nothing to gain?" make the most guarded man in the room pause like a lost child? This was not the story anyone expected, but that's the thing about truth. It doesn't announce itself with drums and banners. Sometimes it walks in, quietly, holding a gift, and something was about to change. Trump held the little box as if it were made of glass. His eyes, usually sharp and calculating, now wandered somewhere distant. He didn't open it, not yet. He seemed afraid of what it might mean. Elon watched quietly. He wasn't the one in control here. For once, it wasn't about intellect, innovation, or dominance. It was about watching something unfold, watching what happens when truth touches pride. The boy stepped back beside his father and looked up at Trump again. "My mama says gifts don't fix everything," he said softly, "but they can start something." Trump sat down slowly, still silent. Then, in a rare moment of honesty, he whispered, "I don't remember the last time I was surprised." There it was, vulnerability. The moment when a man who had once held the weight of a nation admitted he no longer felt wonder. Elon stepped forward, choosing his words with care. "You know, sometimes I wonder if we lose our best selves chasing things that never loved us back." Trump looked up. "Like what?" "Power," Elon replied. "Respect, even revenge. We chase those things thinking they'll fill the holes, but it's usually something quieter that heals us." There was a pause, long and heavy. Trump looked down at the box again. "What's in it?" Elon smiled but didn't answer. "You'll have to open it, but maybe not yet. Maybe wait until your heart's ready." Trump chuckled under his breath, just barely. "You sound like a preacher." "No," Elon said, "just a father." That line lingered. For a moment, Trump's eyes went to the boy again. "What's your name?" The child smiled. "X." Trump raised a brow. "That's different." The boy nodded. "So are you." The simplicity in his tone cut through everything. Trump looked away, like he'd just been disarmed by a child with no agenda. And maybe he had. Then the boy asked again, this time slower, more directly. "Do you remember the last time you felt loved for being you?" Trump didn't answer, but the truth was he did. It had been years ago, before politics, before cameras, maybe before money even mattered. He remembered his mother's hands, how they used to pat his back when no one was looking. He remembered the smell of her perfume when she tucked him in. No one had asked him that question in decades. He wasn't ready to say it out loud. Not yet. But something had cracked. This wasn't a public takedown. It wasn't a staged redemption. It was something quieter, a seed. And seeds don't explode. They sink, slowly, then grow. The gift hadn't even been opened, but already it was doing something, not to the world, to the man. The silence stretched, but it wasn't awkward anymore. It was honest, like something sacred had entered the room, something none of them could name, but all of them felt. Trump's voice was lower now. You know, when I was a boy, my father used to tell me not to cry, that men don't cry, that crying means weakness. Elon nodded slowly. A lot of fathers said that. Trump looked down at the boy again, so young, so unafraid. But your son just asked me something I didn't even know I needed to hear. That's the thing about children, Elon said. They're not trying to fix you. They just tell the truth. X took a step closer. My daddy said people who look strong sometimes have the biggest hurt. Trump studied him. Did he now? X nodded. He said when someone is really quiet inside, even when they talk loud, they're still just waiting for someone to see them. Trump didn't know what to say. His lips parted, but no words came out. Elon sat beside him. I've had everything a man could dream of. Rockets, fortune, headlines. But the day my son asked me why grown-ups forget how to say, I need help, I didn't know how to answer. Trump's hand tightened slightly on the box. That's the moment I realized, Elon continued, we build entire lives to avoid feeling small. But Jesus said the opposite. He said we're meant to become like children, soft-hearted, teachable. Trump turned the box in his hands. Is that what's in here? A lesson? No, Elon said. Something smaller than that. Trump raised an eyebrow. It's not a lesson, Elon clarified. It's a reminder. He held that thought in the air. X broke the moment with another gentle question, the kind that bypasses the brain and goes straight to the heart. What do you keep inside your heart that no one sees? Trump swallowed hard. He didn't answer right away. He looked toward the window, then at the ceiling, then down at the box again. His face shifted, not dramatically, but in the subtle way people change when they're remembering something tender, something long buried. I don't know anymore, he finally said. I used to think I knew, but now, I don't know. That's okay, X said simply. You can open it later, when your heart remembers. That line hit something deep. Elon placed a hand gently on Trump's shoulder. Sometimes the only way forward is to go back to the boy you were, the one who still believed love didn't need to be earned. Trump nodded faintly. His voice was barely audible now. I haven't felt like that boy in a long time. And yet here he was, sitting beside the son of a man who built rockets, being undone by the gentleness of a child's truth. Sometimes it doesn't take force to move a mountain, just a whisper. The sun moved across the room slowly, lighting up the edges of Trump's face. It caught the silver in his hair, the lines by his eyes. He looked older in that moment, not weak, just worn, like someone who had carried too many things alone for too long. He turned the box in his hand again, but still didn't open it. You know, he said, voice low, I've stood in front of millions. I've given speeches to roaring crowds. I've signed deals, built towers, sat at the top of the world. But I can't remember the last time someone looked at me and didn't want something. He looked at Elon. Not even a handshake, not even a photo, just to see me. Elon nodded, his eyes steady. That's what X saw in you. Not the name, not the history, just the man. A man who needed to be seen. Trump's mouth moved slightly, but no sound came out. And then X asked again, quieter this time, like a whisper to the soul. Do you think Jesus ever gave gifts? Trump looked over at him. I don't know, he said honestly. X nodded. I think he did. Not just stuff, but hugs, time, forgiveness. Stuff that doesn't fit in boxes. There was a long pause. Trump exhaled slowly. I didn't grow up learning much about Jesus. That's okay, X replied. He still knows you. It was the kind of sentence that didn't need explaining. No theology, no religion, just a truth spoken from innocence. Trump leaned back and closed his eyes. For the first time in years, he allowed himself to feel something other than the armor he wore. Not anger, not pride, not strategy, just a quiet sadness that had lived deep down for too long. People say a lot about me, he said after a while. Some of it's true, some of it isn't, but I think I forgot somewhere along the way. who I was before they all started watching. Elon looked at him. You think it's too late to remember? Trump didn't answer right away. He stared at the gift, then at the boy, then at the floor. Finally, his voice broke through the silence again. No. I think maybe this is the first time I've wanted to. The words felt like a confession, and it was in that moment, that deeply personal moment, that X stepped forward one last time and asked the question that finally undid him. Can I pray for you? Trump looked up slowly. The room felt frozen, not from fear, but awe. He didn't move for a moment. Then, gently, he nodded. Yes, please. Sometimes it takes a child's courage to reach a place grown men have forgotten even exists. And in that room, bright with sunlight and heavy with truth, a prayer was about to be spoken. Not for a president, not for a legacy, but for a man. X closed his eyes. There was no performance, no forced tone, no script. Just a small boy standing in front of a giant of a man, speaking with the kind of faith that doesn't come from knowing everything, but from trusting something deeper. Dear God, he whispered, thank you for Mr. Trump. Trump lowered his head. Elon placed a hand gently on his son's shoulder. Thank you that he is strong, X continued, but help him remember it's okay to rest. Thank you that he leads, but help him remember you walk in front of him too. Trump's hands rested on his knees now, trembling just a little. Thank you that you love him, even when he forgets how to love himself, the boy said, his voice tender but sure. And help him feel small again, so he can be big the right way. That last line hung in the room like sunlight in still water. So he can be big the right way. Trump's shoulders fell, just a little. It wasn't weakness, it was release. As if the invisible load he had carried for years had finally been noticed. As if someone, even a child, had finally seen the weight and said, you can put it down. When X opened his eyes, Trump was staring at him. His eyes were red. No tears had fallen, but they lived just behind the edge, waiting. Elon leaned in. No one's ever prayed over you before, have they? Trump didn't answer. He didn't have to. The answer was in the silence. I didn't bring you here for politics, Elon said. I brought you here because my son saw something in you I missed, a kind of sadness I didn't know you still carried. Trump looked up at the ceiling. Sometimes I don't even know what I carry anymore. I just know it's heavy. X reached out and touched Trump's hand, still holding the unopened gift. Jesus said his burden is light, he said. You don't have to carry the whole world. Trump didn't move. But that sentence, you don't have to carry the whole world, cracked something deep, not loudly, just enough. And then, he did something no one expected. He smiled. It wasn't a politician's smile. It wasn't for cameras or approval. It was the kind of smile that comes when something begins to heal, when something begins to breathe again, after holding still for too long. I think, Trump said slowly, I want to open it now. X nodded. Okay. Trump unwrapped the gold paper with trembling fingers. He opened the lid of the box slowly, like he was unwrapping not just a gift, but a memory, or maybe even a second chance. Inside, resting on soft cloth, was something simple. A small wooden carving, a lion lying down beside a lamb. Trump stared at it. Something ancient stirred inside him, something he hadn't felt in decades. Trump stared at the small wooden carving as if it held more than wood and shape, as if it carried something sacred. The lion and the lamb, carved together, side by side, not fighting, not afraid, just resting. He didn't speak at first. His fingers gently brushed over the lion's mane, then paused at the lamb's tiny folded legs. I don't understand, he said softly. Why this? X looked up, his voice steady but innocent. Because lions are strong, but they forget how to rest, and lambs are quiet, but they remember. Trump blinked, his mouth slightly open. The boy continued, you were always the lion, but I think maybe God wants you to remember you can be both. Elon sat still beside him, watching carefully. He had seen his son ask strange, piercing questions before, but never like this. Never with this kind of timing, this kind of divine aim. Trump turned the carving in his hand, a rare gentleness on his face. My mother, she used to have a painting of this, the lion and the lamb. I never understood it when I was young. I thought the lion should roar, not lie down. And now? Elon asked. Trump's voice dropped. Now? I think I've been roaring for too long. The room was still. That's the thing about vulnerability. It doesn't shout. It doesn't ask for applause. It shows up trembling, but sincere. And that's when people really listen. Trump looked at X. Did you make this? The boy shook his head. No, I found it. I told Daddy it felt like you. Why? Because people think lions don't cry, X said. But I think the bravest ones do. Trump looked down again, the carving now resting in his open palm. I always thought if I showed weakness, I'd lose everything. Respect, power, identity. Elon leaned forward. Or maybe you'd gain what really matters. Trump glanced at him. And what's that? Peace, Elon said. The kind that doesn't depend on people clapping. Trump laughed softly, a sound more human than anyone in that room had expected. You're preaching again. Elon smiled. Maybe. Or maybe I'm just repeating what Jesus already said. Trump's eyes returned to the carving. The first will be last, and the last will be first, he murmured, almost to himself. You know that one? Elon asked. Trump nodded. I heard it once. Didn't mean much then. But now... He paused, then finished the sentence without smiling. Now it makes me feel small, in a good way. The lion, the lamb, two natures, one spirit, not one replacing the other, but living in harmony. A man can be strong and still weep. He can be powerful and still kneel. He can be both lion and lamb. And maybe, just maybe, that little wooden carving wasn't just a gift. Maybe it was a mirror. Trump held the carving like it was fragile, like it might disappear if he blinked too hard. But the truth was, it wasn't the wood he was afraid of. It was the reflection. I've never told anyone this, he said quietly. But when I was a boy, I used to hide behind the garage and cry. X sat on the floor now, legs crossed, listening like it mattered. My dad was hard, Trump continued. Firm. He taught me how to win. But he didn't teach me how to lose. And I guess I never learned. Elon stayed silent. Sometimes the best thing a man can say is nothing. Just let another man speak. Let the wound breathe. I wanted to be the lion, Trump said. Always. Fierce. Respected. Feared. I didn't think there was room for the lamb. X looked up. Jesus was both. Trump stared at him. Elon leaned forward. That's the part people miss. He wasn't weak. He was powerful. But he chose gentleness when he could have chosen revenge. He forgave when he could have condemned. Trump nodded slowly. That's not easy. No, Elon said. But maybe it's the only kind of strength that lasts. Trump looked at the lion and the lamb again. How'd you know I needed this? He asked the boy. X shrugged. I didn't. I just felt it. Like maybe your heart forgot something, and this could help it remember. There it was again. The child's wisdom that humbles even kings. And then, X asked one final question. A quiet one, a disarming one. Would it be okay if I called you Grandpa? Trump's eyes widened. He didn't answer right away. For a man who had been called many things, president, billionaire, boss, icon, this was the one title that brought him to the edge. He looked down, swallowed hard, and then looked back at X. I'd be honored, he whispered. There was no applause, no announcement, just a moment. A moment where a little boy chose love over logic. A moment where a man remembered what it meant to be human again. And in that moment, something shifted. Not in the polls, not in the headlines, but in the heart of a man who had forgotten how to be small. Trump took a deep breath and placed the carving back inside the box, then closed the lid, not to hide it, but to protect it. He looked at Elon. I thought I was here to talk about business. Instead, your boy gave me a gift no one's ever offered me. Elon smiled. He doesn't know how to do business. He only knows how to give what's in his heart. Trump stood up slowly, steadier than before. Then maybe I've been doing it wrong all this time. And just like that, something heavy was left behind. Not on a stage, but in a room filled with light, where a lion met a lamb, and a man remembered who he once was. As Trump stood, the room felt different. Not because anything physical had changed, but because something invisible had. He wasn't standing like a man preparing for a press conference. He wasn't straightening his tie or bracing for judgment. He was just standing, fully himself. X smiled up at him. Do you feel lighter now? Trump chuckled softly. I don't know if I'm ready to say that. Elon spoke gently. That's okay. You don't have to feel it all at once. Sometimes the healing starts before you notice. Trump nodded, his fingers still resting on the top of the gift box. I don't know how a boy did what 1,000 speeches never could. X just shrugged again. I didn't try to fix you. I just saw you. That sentence, simple as it was, landed deeper than any compliment Trump had ever received. I've been seen by the world, he said slowly, but I don't think I've been seen. Not like that. He paused, then looked out the window, the light casting gold across his face. I've spent so much time proving I was strong. I forgot what it felt like to be safe. Elon stepped beside him. That's what faith does. It doesn't make you loud. It makes you whole. Trump turned to X again. And Jesus? You say he loves people even when they don't love themselves? X nodded. Even when they run away, even when they get loud, even when they build towers instead of sitting still. Trump smiled, a tear finally falling, just one, but enough. Then maybe he loves me too, he whispered. X didn't rush to answer. He just walked over and gently hugged Trump's leg. It was the kind of hug that wasn't for show. It was for healing. You don't have to earn it, X said. You just have to believe he didn't forget you. For a moment, no one said a word. The former president, the world's most famous tech innovator, and a 5-year-old boy. 3 very different lives, one very holy silence. Then Trump looked back at the gift, and then to the boy. Can I keep this? He asked softly. It's yours, X replied. I already gave it to you. Trump held it close. Not like an object, but like a truth, a reminder, a turning point. And as he walked toward the door, he paused one last time. I don't know what happens next, he said, his voice calm. But I know I'm not the same man who walked in here today. Elon nodded. Then the gift did its job. Trump glanced down at X. You remind me of someone I wish I'd been. X grinned. You still can. And with that, Donald Trump stepped into the hallway, not with the weight of the world on his shoulders, but with something better. A lion in his chest and a lamb in his heart.